iPhone 15 and 15 Pro both are excellent devices with a $200 price difference. I've used both of them over 2 months now and both have their own advantages and disadvantages. If you're planning to buy an iPhone 15 series, which of these two would be the best pick for you? Is the iPhone 15 Pro worth the extra $200? What did I personally pick among these two and why? Let's discuss in this video. If you're new here, my name is Anjana and I make videos on all sorts of tech, gadgets, reviews, my take and opinions on latest tech releases. So consider subscribing if you like such content. This is gonna be very useful video, so let's get started. I ordered both the phones the second it was open for pre-orders, 5 AM in the morning. One for me and one for my husband. So I got to use both the phones extensively over the past 2 months. I noticed a lot more subtle differences between the two of them than what Apple announced in my day-to-day use. We'll talk about the differences in design, camera, display and performance. But we'll also talk about how these two phones are a lot alike. Let's start with the design. The immediate differentiator between the two is the additional camera module on the back and the color differences. Other than that, the two phones feel incredibly similar in your hands. Yes, the Pro comes with a titanium frame while the 15 comes with an aluminum frame. But the differences are more subtle. Both the phones now have a matte finish. Both the phones come with the dynamic island. They both have the USB-C. Dimensions are almost the same. I've picked the 15 Pro many times thinking it was the 15, which is a good thing for 15 and a bad thing for 15 Pro. If you do peep in for differences, the 15 feels slightly lighter in your hand. But if you usually use a case with your phone, the design differences are negligible completely. The other visual difference is the action button on the 15 Pro, which we will get to it shortly. How about the front? The display is even more similar. This year, the 15 also gets dynamic island. Both of them have same dimensions, same resolution and pixel density, and same brightness and same colors, which again is a great thing for 15. The only difference in terms of display between the two is 15 Pro comes with an always-on display and a 120Hz high refresh rate screen. Let's talk about the 120Hz display. To be honest, the 60Hz display is totally fine for almost 95% of people. I use both the phones side by side. Sometimes I can't even tell the difference. The most difference you might notice is while swiping apps or home screen, but it's very minimal. So please do not get the 15 Pro just for 120Hz screen. The always-on display on the other hand is worth mentioning. The two places where you will see the difference is one, when the phone is locked, you will get to see the time and notifications, and second, during the standby mode. I'm not a huge fan of the always-on display in locked mode. It drains battery life and honestly, I don't need to see my notifications all the time. It's a constant pressure to pick up my phone and clear them. The standby mode on the other hand is a legit useful feature. I love it and use it all the time. I mostly use it as bedside clock at night. Since iPhone 15 does not have an always-on screen, the standby mode turns off in few seconds. But honestly, that's about it for the display. Again, they both are very similar. Let's talk about the cameras, and I think that is one deciding factor for a lot of people. And this is where Apple reserved a lot of features for the Pro phone. Let me give you a small spoiler. The 15 Pro does have a lot more camera features than the 15. But the real question you need to ask is, are those extra features on the Pro worth it for you and do you use them often? Let's talk about them and you can decide for yourself. Let's begin with the main camera. Both the iPhone 15 and 15 Pro has a 48 megapixel sensor, but the 15 Pro has slightly larger sensor which will perform better in edge cases. This advantage is not very evident in a lot of scenarios. I've taken literally over thousands of photos on both the phones and 99.9% of the main camera shots turn out exactly the same. It's really hard to differentiate between the two. The OIS on the 15 Pro is also slightly better, but the software is doing a lot more, so the hardware difference becomes negligible. Both the phones come with auto portraits where you can convert normal photo into a portrait photo later, which I love. Videos also turn out very similar between the two, and I've been really happy with the iPhone 15 overall. Let's talk about the differences. First thing that jumps out is the lack of a 3x telephoto camera on the iPhone 15. Yes, I do like the 3x mode on the 15 Pro, but it's not something I miss too much. Since both the phones come with the 48 megapixel cameras, they both can take lossless 2x photos, and I can do with 2x photos most of the time. Even digitally going 3x on iPhone 15, you still get very decent photos. My recommendation is check your gallery to see how often you need 3x or beyond. If you shoot mostly 1x or 2x like I do, the iPhone 15 will satisfy your camera needs. The iPhone 15 Pro has a LiDAR scanner, which means technically portrait photos and autofocus should be better on the Pro. But the iPhone 15 has been doing great and I don't see a lot of difference. There are two other differences between the 15 and 15 Pro. The 15 Pro has macro mode and the ability to capture videos in ProRes and log. Macro mode has come in handy for me. Your mileage may vary, but not a deal breaker. Shooting in ProRes and log are huge features, especially since I shoot some videos for my YouTube on my phone. ProRes and log are high quality, high detail formats which will be useful if you post-process your video later. If there was one feature that the 15 had, that would be shooting in log. If you don't post-process your videos like 99.9% of people, you don't really need the log ProRes feature. The videos straight out of the camera look amazing and you won't be disappointed with the 15. With the 15 Pro, you can also shoot your videos externally to an SSD. I shot a whole video on the 15 Pro in ProRes log, which you can check out in the description. So here's my overall camera take. The iPhone 15 camera will do over 95% of what 15 Pro can do, and for most people, most of the 5% is not something they will ever use. So if you are leaning towards the 15 and considering the 15 Pro, assuming it can do wonders with the camera, you can safely go with the 15 and you will definitely be satisfied. How about the performance? The 15 Pro comes with a newer chip, the A17 Pro, while the 15 comes with last year's A16. The A17 Pro is a beast. Check out the Geekbench scores between the two. A17 Pro is close to 20% faster than the A16, but that's about it. It is a benchmark score. In real world, you don't see a difference at all. Even the A16 is much faster than any Android flagship, and no other apps currently take advantage of the incredible power iPhone 15 chips offer. Even app just flies and is buttery smooth. Where this will matter is in the long term. You will be able to use the iPhone 15 Pro a year longer comfortably than the 15. My recommendation here again is don't go with the iPhone 15 Pro because of the chip. Because other features will age out faster before the performance becomes a bottleneck and you will end up buying a new phone anyway for other advanced features. The 15 will serve you well as long as you intend to keep it. Okay, what else? Action button. I mean, I won't say no to a customizable button, but it's not a feature which will make me jump to a $200 more expensive phone. The best a lot of people use their action button is to use the shortcuts to open camera or to turn on flashlight. It's convenient for sure, but not a deal breaker. There is a lot more you can do with the action button, but after a few days you will realize it's not revolutionary as Apple claims it to be. One other feature worth mentioning is the USB-C on the 15 Pro is a faster port than the 15. This is useful for external video recording and transferring large data out of your phone. But if you don't do those, the USB-C on the 15 works like a charm. So what's my overall take? I guess you might have seen the pattern here. The iPhone 15 does over 95% of what the 15 Pro does at $200 cheaper. And of those extra 5%, I don't use a good portion of it anyway, like always on display, 120Hz screen, macro mode, etc. So for me, the 15 was an obvious choice. And using them side by side for 2 months, I'm appreciating the 15 even more and finding less value in 15 Pro. If you use the 3x telephoto extensively, record videos externally to an SSD in log format, value always on display and 120Hz screen, then the 15 Pro would be a better pick for you. Okay, I hope it was a useful video. Consider subscribing if it was. I'll see you in the next one. This is Anjana. Bye-bye.